Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Drinks with Johnny. I'm very excited today. I am joined by Barbie of Kingpin Boxing. Also out here on the road with me, she's out doing makeup for Kim Dracula. And first, let's just start there. You're now the second person I've had the pleasure of talking today from your guys' camp. We're in Salt Lake City today. Big show out there. How has it been being on this tour?
It's definitely been really like exciting and different. Like, I've never been on tour. Obviously, I'm not like a musician, but right. But it's been really cool to like get to see all of like North America. That's been awesome. Yeah.
And where are you from originally? You also from?
I'm from Australia. So I'm from Melbourne, not Tasmania. Melbourne. So.
Okay, awesome. I love Melbourne. I've been there a few times. It's a really great place.
Yeah, it's really nice. I lived in Tassie for a bit as well.
Okay. I still haven't been there.
It's so beautiful.
We were talking about it the other night, though. Like, the weather can be really cold, right? Because it's the...
I mean, like, not as cold as you would get, like, if you're, like, in Canada. Like, it wouldn't snow. Like, you wouldn't be, like, snow temperature. It'd be, like, cold for Australia, but, like, not cold for, like, the rest of the world.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's, like, cold for California is, like, when it gets down to, like, 60.
I don't know.
Do you guys do Fahrenheit or Celsius? Man, I never know that conversion either. God. Terrible.
Yeah, I think cold in Tassie is like 40 Celsius. I think that's what someone said.
Okay.
Let's
just
like
go with that. Let the comments correct us underneath here.
Yeah.
Well, before we get fully started here, I asked you what you wanted to drink during this podcast, and you said Jägermeister and lemonade.
Yes, I really like Jaeger, but I would usually have it with like Red Bull, but I'll be like flying. Because it's like
Jaeger and Red Bull, I totally understand. I've had Jaeger bombs, but the lemonade threw me off.
Yeah, I just like thought like I would try it one day. I was actually at the Claremont Lounge in Atlanta. The crew all went there. It's like
The Claremont Lounge is amazing. Now that I know you've been there, we're gonna have to talk a little bit about that too.
So I was like, I want Jaeger, but I don't want to have Red Bull because I wanted to go to bed. So I was like, I'll have it with lemonade. And I was like, oh, it's actually really good. So
I just never would have thought to put Jägermeister in lemonade. It's different to me. I don't know.
Do I have to shake this?
Yeah. So while you're making that drink, then, since you mentioned the Claremont Lounge in Atlanta, what did you think?
I loved it. It was cool. I got like the ones out, and like the stack of 50s is like this high because they were like so crumpled.
Yeah.
So that was fun. I still got them. I'm like, I have no idea what to do with them because I can't put them in like a purse or anything because it's just so many ones, and they're
Wait, you still have them?
Yeah, I think we ended up leaving like right after I got like a bunch of money. I like threw most of it, but then like I had to have some in my back pocket. I didn't even realize.
Well, thanks for being on the show. Cheers. That's
Sorry.
Okay. That's okay.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm. So everyone knows what the Claremont Lounge is. It is a strip club, kind of. It's famous for having the oldest stripper.
Really?
Yeah. Was she there? Last time I was there, she was there, and believe she was in her late 60s.
Power to her. Hey,
I hope to still be stripping when I'm that old.
Yeah, I mean, get it.
Yeah. So, really fun spot. Claremont, shout out to you. I've had a lot of fun there. So, what you mentioned Claremont now and traveling through North America. Have you ever been here before this tour?
No, I'm from Australia, so I came up to LA with Kim and Thomas, and we didn't really I've traveled personally for like the boxing stuff, but we never really like traveled North America. I've been to like Austin, Texas, and I went like a road trip from Austin to California when I first got here. But other than that, I haven't really like seen much. So like everything is like totally brand new. And really cool to see.
And you're finding it nice? You like it out here?
Yeah, it's different. I definitely prefer Australia to America, but it's really cool to see like.
All right, I'll give it to you. Most of Australia I like better too, but where I'm from though I like better. But
yeah, where are you from?
Orange County.
Orange County, yeah. I've heard lots of people say that's really nice.
Yeah, well, if you're ever and if you visit Thomas or anything like that in L.A. because we just talked and he's living in L.A. now. I've just found out. It's only an hour south.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone talks about Orange County like it's a whole other like city, but I realized the other day I'm like it's only an hour's drive from LA.
But it's vastly different from LA.
Yeah, like I had a friend and she's like, "Oh, I'm in Orange County, like if you ever come down here, like let me know, we can hang." And I'm like, oh, "Okay." And she's like, "Yeah, like it'll be great." And I'm like, and then when I got here, I'm like, "Wait, it's only an hour away. What do you mean if I'm ever down there? Like, I can just drive down there. Like, it's an hour away."
The way, not like another city. No, yeah, for us, like that border is real. Like, LA is like just hectic, crazy. Orange County beach vibes. You know, it's like I live in Huntington Beach, 10 minutes walk to the beach. You know, so it's like very different than the metropolitan city that is LA.
Yeah.
So you should come down and check it out.
Yeah, one day.
Yeah, one day. What are some of the other things you've gotten into other than the lounge? While you days off, what are some other spots that you've been able to hit?
We saw Antelope Island yesterday. And
I'm not even familiar with that.
So it's like the island across from the Big Salt Lake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we like drove up around and went on that island and saw a bunch of like wild buffalo or bison.
Bison, I think.
Yeah, a bunch of bison.
Right? It would be bison here. I think it would be bison. I don't know.
They were like crossing the street and stuff, and like you're just driving and there's just like a bison crossing in the middle of the street, and then you can like look across and see the views of like the mountains and the Salt Lake, which was like it was like so clear, like you could see the mountains like reflected in the lake.
Oh, it was a good day for it then.
Yeah,
That's
it was,
awesome.
It was so nice, but we got eaten alive by like mosquitoes or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there by the lake for sure.
Yeah, I think we saw. I don't know. We kind of crashed on days off, like, because we're all so exhausted from all the traveling. Like, you know, I don't think we're as used to it as, like, maybe everyone else. This is our, like, first time.
There was a period where I was used to it, but now that I'm older, I'm like, not real. I still get tired.
Yeah, we've been definitely crashing. Utah's been crazy, though. Like, it's so Mormon. Like, I didn't, like, realize, like, I'm, like, wearing, like, this shirt, and everyone's, like,
well, yeah. Were you out in your makeup and everything too, or it was just?
I kind of like. I didn't take my makeup off from the night before, and so I like roll out of bed. My hair's like fucked. My makeup's fucked, and I'm like, let's go browse Utah. Like I'm here once. It's like I'm not gonna take my makeup off. Like, I don't care.
Right.
And everyone was like, and I was like, oh my god, like everything is so clean cut. I was like,
This is not the place for that.
Yeah, I almost got like stranded as well because like my phone decided to like shit itself, and I had taken an Uber to like some random like Mormon mall or something. I don't know.
A Mormon mall?
I don't know. It was like a mall that had like Mormon like shops, or I don't even know where I ended up going. But
it's where they find their really cute ties and white shirts.
Yeah, but my phone had ended up like completely like freezing. Like I could not turn it on. I could not turn it off. And I'm like, oh my god, how am I gonna get out of here? And I'm like trying to get help, and no one would help me. And I'm like, oh my god.
They want to help you.
Yeah, he was like crazy. Like I went up to a taxi, and he was
Guys,
like, no.
Don't judge a book by its cover. Come on.
They were all like they're all like kind of friendly. I think like they all smile. Like everyone's nice.
Yeah, they're a little overly nice here.
Yeah,
for the most part.
I just think that just the people I spoke to weren't that nice. But I don't even know if they were Mormon. Mormons seem lovely. They probably just were like rude.
Just not good people.
Yeah,
not good people.
Like I don't know. Like I asked the taxi driver, and I'm like, he's like, no, I'm waiting for a woman. And I'm like, can you like call me like one of your friends? He's like, no, you have to call. And I'm like, what? I can't. And he's like,
my phone.
And I'm like, okay. So my phone ended up like restarting though, so I could like.
Good. So you were able to get back. You
I
didn't have to hot
so stressed. I was like sat there. I'm like, what am I actually gonna do? Because I couldn't find a taxi. I couldn't find a payphone. And then after like having like 2 people reject me, I'm like, I'm not asking anymore. I'm nervous. I'm embarrassed. I'm not doing it. I'm just gonna sit here. I like saw like the bikes, and I was like, could I potentially? But then I'm like, it might be worse if I go on bike and I'm more like way out of the way, because I take an Uber, right? So I was nowhere near the hotel or anything.
You don't know your way back.
Yeah, I couldn't find like I tried to find a handheld map or something.
Do they even still make those?
I think so.
Really?
We got a map of Antelope Island.
Okay. I mean, I guess it makes sense. You still need something in case something like that happens on your phone. You're going to need, I guess I could still print on paper.
Yeah, but...
So back to the drinking, though. Jägermeister, is that your spirit of choice?
Yeah, I love Jäger.
Okay. For just shooting, cocktails, all of it?
All of it, yeah. I don't know. I used to be like big drinker. Like, I used to love to party and have lots of drinks. But then, obviously, I started, like, the boxing, and then it's, like, a big no to drink any alcohol. So then after that, I, like, taste alcohol. I'm like, ugh, like, this is disgusting. But Jaeger's the only thing I've been able to drink that I'm not, like, absolutely repulsed by.
Oh, okay. That's interesting, because a lot of people would say they don't like the taste of Jaeger.
Really?
I mean, in America, it's not... It's more for getting fucked up out here. Like, it just... Because for whatever reason, it's only... The craziest thing is, as I'm looking at it, it's only a 35% by volume spirit, which is not a very high spirit. But for some reason... And it's not uncommon. It's not just me. Like, everyone I talk to, like, you have a Jaeger night and you black out.
Yeah.
Because there's something else about it that's in there. And you're shooting shots of Jaeger. I mean, back when we did the Ozfest, this guy behind the camera that no one else can see right now, Rafa, was out with us, and he can attest, like, there was Jaeger every single night. And it was bad news. Or great news, depending on how you look at it. But, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like it.
So in the boxing, though, obviously while you're boxing and stuff, you said you can't drink, you know, you're training. Also, I have a couple buddies that are boxers, and they turned me on to the idea of, like, if you get hit in the head and you've been drinking, it's not really good for your brain.
No.
This is something I would never think of because I'm not a boxer. So here's how I'm going to phrase this question. Let me come back around to this here. So on your Instagrams, everywhere you go, you're the 6-foot goth girl, right? And she's legit 6 foot, by the way. In case anyone couldn't tell, I look so huge next to her. And you obviously do makeup. That's like your profession as well. And so I guess my question is, where does the boxing fit in? When did that start?
So I just kind of, when I was growing up, my family were always into, like, combat sports. Like, my dad, he used to be a professional MMA fighter. Oh. And he put us into, like, jiu-jitsu, and my brother into, like, karate at a really young age, like 6 years old or something.
Wait. Before you go would we know who your father is?
No, he's not. It was like back when MMA was just becoming a thing. Like, he only had, I think, like 10 fights in the 90s, and not on UFC or anything like that.
Oh, not on UFC. Okay.
Not UFC.
I watched UFC before it became what it is now, where it was literally just a tournament of bar brawlers, basically.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was not professional at all.
Yeah. No, yeah. Early stuff was, like, crazy. They were just, like, have at her.
Yeah, it was.
No one was, like, properly
trained.
There's
only 2 rules: no fish no eye gouging or fish hooking. That was it. You could hit the balls. You could do everything else. Like, it was gnarly.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sorry to take it off the rails there for a second, but I just wanted to make sure it wasn't someone famous that the rest of us might know.
Yeah, he's not famous or anything. He was on TV or something. I don't know the promotion, but it's like 1999. I wasn't even born yet, so.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Wait, in 99 you weren't born yet?
I'm 21. I was born in 2001.
To be young again. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So you got dad's getting you into jiu-jitsu at a young age?
Yeah, from a really young age, and I ended up, like, when I think I was, like, I used to, like, do it, like, competitively, sort of, like, these, like state tournaments in, like, Melbourne and stuff. And yeah, and then when I was, like, 14, I was like, fuck this, I've had enough, I'm not doing it anymore. Like, I'm sick of jiu-jitsu, obviously, because, like, you know, when you're 14 years old and a girl, the last thing you want to do is, like, rolling on the ground with, like, sweaty 40-year-old men. Like, I had enough at that point. I was like, ew. It's nasty because they drip the sweat on you.
I'm a 40-year-old man. No, I'm not quite 40 yet, everybody. Just calm down. No, but no, I'm just laughing because that image is, yes, of course you wouldn't want that. You wouldn't want that as a 21-year-old woman. You know, like, and I guess you would have to, why does it have to be a 40? Was there no one else to roll around with?
It's kind of like, I think women are, like, kind of like, it's more recent that women are being, like, introduced and, like, accepted into combat sports, and there's still a lot of people who, like, don't believe that women should even be boxing or in combat sports and things like that. So I guess it's, like, the ratio when you go to,
but why does it go straight to 40? Why wasn't there, like, other, like, I don't know 15 16-year-old dudes?
I don't think there was, like, 3 kids in the class.
If you roll around 14-year-old girl, 16-year-old dude rolling around, I remember what it was like to be 16. Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of boners going on.
Yeah, my coach at the time, he was like really harsh on me as well. So like to bully me, he'd put me with like these like 250-pound like men and like have me like try and like do jiu-jitsu and like roll with them. And obviously I'm like, I was really small actually growing up, which is really weird. I had like a huge growth spurt. So I was like maybe like 60, 70, 80 pounds at like 13, like going up against these like
Oh, wow. How tall were you then?
I was like 5 foot less maybe. Like I was really small. And then all of a sudden, like I think at like age 15, I was like, bang.
Just everything happened at once?
Yeah, and I was just 6 foot tall all of a sudden. And, yeah.
That must have been wild.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was happy because, like, it was so funny because, like, when I was younger, I always, like, wanted to be, like, a supermodel or something. Like, I was always obsessed with, like, the model girls. And I was like, I need to be taller. I used to, like, listen to, like, I don't know, like, subliminal messaging to be taller.
That's a thing?
Yeah, well, I don't think it works, but maybe it does.
Maybe it did, eh?
I know.
All of a sudden.
I don't think so, because my brother ended up being, like, almost 6'6".
Okay.
So, my parents aren't even that tall, though. Like, my dad's 6'1", and my mom's, like, 5'6". My brother's 6'6", and I'm 6 foot, so.
Wow.
Just got lucky, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, yeah, just, like, had a huge growth spurt. But, yeah, it was definitely, like, a lot when I was younger to be doing that, and I ended up dropping out, but my brother ended up still pursuing it, and he ended up doing like Thai kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, like all of it. And then he went on to do like amateur fighting, like amateur kickboxing matches in Melbourne, like at the little like arenas and stuff. And then one day we were watching like influencer boxing and YouTube boxing, like KSI, Jake Paul, all those guys.
Okay, gotcha.
And I, at the time, had like maybe like 1 million followers on TikTok. And I had like just been making like kind of like horror content and like gym content and stuff. And then it was actually Kim, like, who was watching the influencer boxing and was like, you know what? You'd actually be really good at that. And I was like, hang on a second, you're actually kind of right. I think I would be.
Yeah.
Because we were, like, looking at, like, all the girls and stuff. And then one of the promoters had put a post out saying they were looking for someone to have a fight on 10 weeks' notice at 155. And I was like, well, I'm 165, and I just came off a bulk because I'd been doing, like, the weightlifting thing. And I'm like, I could get down to 155 in 10 weeks. And I was like, yeah, like, I'll do it. And the promoter was like, yeah, come on, do it. And I ended up, like, training really hard. I had my coach, Christian Enner, in Melbourne, and my dad and my brother, like, really training me really hard. And I was, like, fight ready. And then I had visa issues at the border because America's, like, the fight was supposed to be in Texas. And the border was, like, so strict. They were like, you cannot come in. You don't have the right visa. Like, you cannot work. Because they'd found all the boxing gear, and they were, like, questioning us at, like, the detained bit.
Oh, right.
So I ended up having to pull out of that fight, which was really shitty because I was, like, so pumped. Like, I literally was there, like, doing the open workout stuff. And, like, the 2 days before the fight, I had to pull out because they were like, you're going to get deported if you do this fight because you don't have the right papers.
That's awful.
Yeah, that sucks so much because I ended up, like, people, I think they don't realize how expensive, like, any, like, type of sports and then travel is on top of that.
Oh, yeah, no, it's crazy. I was talking to my buddy Kelly Pavlik. He's a middleweight champion in boxing out here, and he's setting up stuff to help out with that very issue of getting the amateurs travel to these places so that they can compete because it's something that, like, if you're not in it, you don't think about these kind of things, right? But, like, it's the good gear costs money. Then you gotta deal with travel, and then a lot of times you have an entry fee for some of these things, right?
I think at amateur level, yeah, but this was like
exhibition.
That one was scheduled to be pro, which is crazy because I think a lot of people think that I've been boxing for years. I have only been boxing for maybe 13 months. Oh, so wow. Just over a year. So I have, like, the influencer boxing thing is very different to, like, professional boxing. Right. Because, like, for example, a professional boxer would have maybe, like, it wouldn't be uncommon for a professional boxer to have 100 amateur fights that aren't televised, that are in headgear and 16-ounce gloves, and then they transition to professional, and then they work their way up to getting onto these bigger cards that end up on TV and are really publicized, whereas the influencer boxing scene is kind of like, hey, let's take these random people who are, like, successful or famous for something else and get them in the ring and get them to just beat each other up for funny. Like, it's more for entertainment than it is for, like, watching a technical bout of boxing. Like,
yeah.
So
well, that goes back to a little bit of that early UFC stuff too. It was super entertaining. It was not very technical, but it was super entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I only I'd taken that first professional match of 10 weeks. 10 weeks to go from no boxing to being able to get in the ring and have a fight, but obviously it fell through.
Yeah.
So I got a bit more time. So I think my first fight was Kingpin. They had approached me after my fight had fallen through, and they were like, "Look, we really love your look, and we want you to come be on our promotion." I was like, "Yeah, I'm down." And then that was scheduled for, I think, April. So yeah, I still only have my first fight off 5 months experience of boxing.
So I have so many questions about this now because I saw you've had 2 fights now that you've won. Okay, awesome. By the way, congratulations, 2-0. Good start. Good start. Tell me a little bit more about Kingpin Promotions, though, because I've never heard of it until I was doing research and learning a little bit about yourself. And it's just, I understand the influencer boxing when you mentioned, I mean, I think most people at home would understand it when you mentioned like the Paul brothers and stuff like that. That's, you kind of get an idea for that. But they've also gone into like the straight up professional fights and stuff too, and created their own promotion, which I actually really am a big fan of them, because at first I was like the same as like everybody else, like who are these YouTube kids coming up and everything, and then I heard them talk in a few interviews and stuff and what they were actually trying to accomplish and what they were able to do for the fight world and getting the fighters paid and a little bit more fairly and trying to help out with a lot of the fighters. So I think they're really smart guys and they're doing it for all the right causes. But and I think that's that's kind of the only knowledge of what you would call an influencer boxing. So can you fill me in go a little bit deeper on that and maybe explain what Kingpin is?
Yeah. So basically what happened was, I think in 2018, I think KSI, he created like Misfits Boxing, which is the main promotion for influencer boxing. And that's where he had a bunch of the big names. Like he had, Jake Paul's never been involved with Misfits. He runs his own thing and he does, I think he has his own promotion called MVP. And he is working with actual pro boxers. So he himself, while being an influencer, is trying to detach from that.
Okay.
Whereas KSI and the other half, like they have their big feud or whatever. The other half is like encouraging it, like hyping up these random people who have no business being in the ring and being like, get them in there, you know, have
Would
them
that
fight.
be considered like Rough and Rowdy is another one? Is that kind of like an influencer one?
I think it is, but I think it's on a much smaller scale. So I think that's
they
bit more
tend
random.
to get. So it was years ago, Zach, our guitarist, told me to start following Rough and Rowdy, and I did. It's definitely a little white trash.
Yeah, I love it. I would definitely go on Rough and Rowdy. I think that's so fun. Like, I would do like an MMA fight there if they do MMA. That would be fun.
You do an MMA fight there?
I would. I'm not trained MMA, but I mean,
Well, you have the background. You just train a little bit.
Just get it back, I guess. But I would do it. I think it'd be fun. The problem is I'm kind of big for MMA, but I guess if it's not like UFC, I'm not that big.
Yeah,
like they'll just chuck anyone in, really.
Yeah, they'll also those commentators are hilarious, so it would actually be really good.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get back to you explaining it a little bit. Sorry, we went off the rails there. Got a little excited about Rough and Rowdy. Shout out.
So, the Misfits Boxing is the big one, and they've done, I think, the most events. And then you had other promotions, I think, like Creator Clash, Showstopper or something.
Okay.
Kingpin, and I think that's it. And they're competitors to Misfits. Like, they want to have a piece of the Misfits pie or whatever that because they've got pretty much a monopoly on that whole thing. And these are, like, big events. Like, these are selling out, like, 13,000 seats.
Really?
Yeah, so my 2 fights were sold out fights. And I think my first one, I was, like, really early on the card because I hadn't really established myself. Everyone was just like, oh, this is just some weird goth girl. Like, this is just a gimmick. Like, whatever, chuck her on first. Like, whatever. And then when I had my first fight and I kind of, like, really, like, showed that, like, yes, I'm not the most technical. But, like, I almost, you know, I totally knocked her out, but, like, the ref caught her, so he called it a knockdown. Which I don't know if
that
you've
was a
seen
knockout.
That clip.
I did.
Her eyes were, like, shut. Like, she was like this.
Yeah, she was out.
If she
I did see the clip, and everyone could go see it at Barbie's, you know, all your social media, which everyone probably has already seen who's coming here to the show right now. So I did watch that. What I also found when I searched was a clip of you two talking before that fight, and you told her you were going to knock her out, and she said good luck, and then I saw the clip of you knocking her out. I was like, That's pretty badass.
Yeah, that was awesome. I was like so excited. I was so happy. But yeah, then fight 2, they put me on towards the end, and the whole entire arena was like full. Like,
wow.
It was like 13,000, like similar to like I guess what you'd be used to playing for, probably way more than that. But like you know what it's like to go out there and have all those people like.
Well, I don't know what it would be like in a fight, though.
Yeah,
that's a very different thing. I'm going up there and everyone's rooting for me. There's people out there that are rooting against you. I couldn't imagine, because you gotta bring in all that energy and adrenaline and still stay focused on the fact that I need to hurt this other person.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you manage that?
It's definitely like a lot. Like but you kind of get like this tunnel vision. Like beforehand, you're like, oh, I'm nervous. Like, what if I don't? Like, what if I lose? What if I embarrass myself? What if I get knocked out? But then you kind of, like, for me at least, I know it's different for everyone. Like, then I hear like my entrance music, and I'm like, I'm ready. I'm like, I know I trained for this. I know I fucking got this. Like, I'm coming to just like fuck people up, and like I don't give a fuck. And I walk out and I see them, and I can see just like them, like, you know, like with their teeth, and they're like doing the bounce, and I'm like, oh, you're dead. Like, I got you. I'm gonna kill you. Like, I'm just gonna fucking.
You got that confidence running.
Yeah, and I'm just get so excited and so hyped, and then the bell goes, and then I'm just like ready. And then it actually, surprisingly for me, like, it takes like a round or 2 for me to like settle in to it. Like, I'm usually like kind of like stiff in the first 2 rounds, and the 3rd and 4th and 5th, and I'm just like, yeah.
That's when you start to feel it.
Yeah, and that's when I get more excited and more ready and like more like comfortable, because obviously it
you like to get hit to be woken up a little bit first?
Yeah, I mean, surprisingly, in like most of my fights, I have barely been hit, which is a good thing.
Yeah, Mayweather made a very good career out of making sure he never got hit.
Yeah, I think like in all my fights, or my last fight specifically, I can remember the most, I think she only hit me like a few, like a countable number of times. Like, I
didn't see the whole fight, obviously. I probably got to go back on it. Does DAZN let you go back and watch older fights? I've only watched live on DAZN.
It'll be on YouTube.
I'll be on YouTube.
You can just search my name.
I'm gonna look at, though, because I didn't get to see the second fight. I didn't see any of the second fight. I saw the weigh-in. That's all I saw.
Yeah.
How'd that one go? Obviously, you won.
Yeah, that
so
one
was
that one was good. That was against, so the Kingpin was a tournament, so that was against the other girl who had run in my bracket.
Okay.
And she was really short, but she was really like buff.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone like online was always like, oh, how is this legal? Like, they're not even the same size. Then like, boxing is like a weight class thing. Like, if you had everyone have to be the exact same height.
Well, those are people who probably have never seen boxing before, because if anyone remembers, like that's happens in the biggest of everything. You got the heavyweights. Heavyweight division stops after a certain thing. So you go, you know, Tyson wasn't the tallest guy when he was fighting guys like Bo Riddick and stuff. Those guys were all taller.
Yeah.
You know, but they were in the same weight class, and he still destroyed a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah, so that one was good. I ended up kind of just like using my jab a lot. So what had actually happened, I actually broke my thumb 2 weeks before that fight.
Is that? I was going to ask about that. I wasn't sure if it was boxing related. How did that happen?
Yeah, so I was doing sparring, and I had gone in for like a overhand, which is like this kind of hit, and you're supposed to clash there. But she had also moved in, and I ended up smacking her like right on like this part of her head, like through the headgear, like the top or something, like where there was no headgear, with this part of my thumb. And I just, like, you can see in, like, the clip of the sparring, I'm just like, ah! And then I was like, okay, wow, that really hurts. But, you know, I'm like, how I was raised is, like, no pain. You know, you just, there's no such thing as being
an MMA fighter.
Yeah, like, we're like, cutthroat, like, suck it up.
Yeah.
Do what you
gotta do. Rub some dirt on it and get back out there.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, this is really hurting, and I finished my 5th round of the spar, so that was in the 4th round, and the 5th round, I'm like, okay, this is really fucking hurting.
Oh, you kept, okay.
Yeah, I kept going, because I wasn't about to be like, ow, because like that's not allowed, like,
no,
you don't
totally,
do that.
Totally.
At least with my camp, like, you know. So I was like, okay, this is really hurting, and I'm like, oh, like, okay. And then my coach went and got some ice, and he's like, all right, when I had an injury like this, you just smush it on there, because I was like just resting it above, and he goes and he like takes ice and he like smushes it on there, and I'm like, ah. And like we're like, what the fuck is wrong with my thumb? But I was in the U.S. and I don't have healthcare here, so I was like, okay. and I've got 2 weeks to a fight. So I just went into like Walgreens and got like some like $30 brace, chucked it on, and was like, okay, well, I'm just going to do jabs. Like, I'm just going to have to work on my right hand because this is hurting way too bad. And I can't use this. And I don't know, like, I just got to, I was like, it's sprained. It's whatever. Because it didn't like get like huge and blue. Like, it just was really, really, really swollen and like bright red for like a few days.
Okay.
So I was like, whatever, go out. And I was just training jab for like almost like literally up until the fight. And then I was like, okay, well, I've just got to use my right hand like 3 days before the fight, and I just have to suck it up. So it was like kind of hurting and stuff, but you have all the adrenaline in the fight. And after that, it's like whatever. And then Kingpin was supposed to go on for the third final fight, which was scheduled to be September 16th. But the company ended up going like bankrupt because they ended up, they ended up like paying.
I was wondering because I did see that it was a tournament. I was like, well, but she's out here. How is that going to work?
Yeah. Well, it was like scheduled to be in September, but they ended up going bankrupt because they paid the boys like just ridiculous sums of money, like just absolutely absurd for like what they were able to, I guess, pull in like fans. So it wasn't like paying back. And
you said right there they paid the boys that way.
Yeah, not the girls.
Yeah.
It is interesting though, because you would think like influencer boxing would be all about your influencing like statistics, like your following,
which I would imagine
engagement.
for you who had already had, as you said, you were the 6 foot goth girl makeup. You put on your makeup, you do your training, and you gained this huge social media following before you're even going into the ring. So
yeah.
I mean, I would say you would have been one of the bigger draws at some point too, right?
Yeah, I think at first I wasn't, because everyone was like influencers, so everyone was coming in. Like one guy had 60 million followers, and is like an A-list celebrity in Brazil or something. I don't really know. Oh shit!
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I was like, she's got a pretty big following. I don't know.
But as for like everyone else, like some of the guys, like I was still getting like a nice amount. Like, I'm not going to complain, but comparatively to the boys, they were making like 10 times what the girls were getting. And as my audience grew through the boxing, a lot of people got like attracted to me through the boxing and wanting to like be my like follower and like support me in that, because I was doing something different and like representing for like all the alternative people, I guess, who you don't usually like see in the sports world.
Right.
So that I ended up like getting a lot of traction, and the production from like Kingpin kept coming up to me like, your ads are doing the best, like anything featuring you goes viral, like, and I was getting like a tenth of what the people who couldn't even do half the numbers I was doing were getting. So it was like kind of shitty, but I was like, I'm not really in it for like the money per se, so I didn't let that get me down. But it was just annoying because it like got canceled obviously because of the payment. But anyways, I tend to like just until like I'm like a million ways off the initial
This is
track.
exactly how I do my podcast. This is nothing new to my listeners. I'm all over the place too. We'll bring you back. Don't worry. You go and I'll bring you back.
So anyway, so I was supposed to have the fight on the 16th of September, and sorry, I lost my train of thought. And then, so I still had this thumb issue, but it was like the pain had kind of like gone away unless I hit it. And occasionally in sparring, I would hit it because that's just it. Like, you're not going to land a perfectly clean punch with this every single time. Like, sometimes you're going to accidentally snag on the chin.
I miss all the time, even on just the bag. Like, I don't even spar, and I know I miss. I'm like, oh, that sucked.
Yeah. So we ended up like having like all this like jelly pads, like covering the thumb, but it was like still hurting. And I remember it'd be in between rounds. If I clipped it, I'd be like, oh my God. I'd be like in like just this terrible agonizing pain for like
And you couldn't even have Jägermeister to get through it.
Yeah. And then after like then I just keep going and keep sparring, because that's just what you do. And I just try and like keep this here. And even when it's here, you're still getting punched.
Right.
And sometimes it's clipping even when you're not throwing it. But then when they canceled Kingpin, I was like, okay, I should get this checked out. And then stupidly, I was like, well, it's not that bad. Like, I'm able to box, like whatever. And I had flown to Australia to do the camp before the finals, just because I could be with like my family, because they've been such a great help. Like my dad, he always comes up to LA and is like training me and like getting me ready and doing like extra drills alongside like my coach. So my coach in LA is Lucky Boy at Wildcard, and he is like a 2-time world champion himself. So he's been great. And then my dad would come and he would help out. But my dad obviously couldn't stay in LA forever, so I just kind of and I don't drive and like stuff like that, so it was like not easy to like be in LA.
No,
like
you don't drive, or you don't have a driver's license?
No.
Tell me you're 21 without telling me you're 21. That's just the generation. I got nephews and stuff, and they're not motivated to have cars. When we were kids growing up, that's like the first thing you did as soon as you turned 15. It was just different. But I digress.
But yeah, so I have my I went to Australia so I could be with my dad, and then I went back with my original coach Christian, who had been coming to the fights with me because Lucky Boy had like family commitments, so we couldn't just like fly across the world to come to my fights. But yeah, so I got my like x-ray done in Melbourne because obviously healthcare is free there.
Right.
And I was like, it's gonna be nothing, and I needed to get back to come to do the tour with like Kim and stuff. And of course I get the results right as I'm boarding the plane, and it's like, your thumb is broken, like you need to go get a bunch of tests and check out, and like, you know, like it was marked like urgent by the doctor, and I'm like, oh, fucking kidding me, like you've got to be kidding me. So I was like, whatever. So I get on the plane, land, and I have to go see a specialist, and of course it's like $500 just for him to give me like an opinion. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, and you gotta do that out of pocket and everything.
Yeah. I was like, and he's like, let's get you an MRI. And I'm like, let's not. No. I'm like, just tell me, like, what do I gotta do? Is it broken? Do I need surgery? And so what happened is actually kind of like disgusting. So where I'd hit it is where the tendon connects.
Okay.
And instead of the tendon snapping, the tendon actually ripped a chunk of bone out instead of snapping. So that's why my thumb didn't go like fully like black and stuff, because it's not a clean broke in half. It's a chunk of bone detached and floating in there.
I didn't know that could even happen.
I didn't know either, but I should be lucky, because if the tendon ripped, I'd have to have surgery, and that would be the end of the boxing for me.
Yeah.
Which would suck. But yeah, and the doctor's like, pretty much like no boxing for 4 to 6 months. You have to let it heal. And I'm like, oh, fuck's sake. Like, and I'm like, well, what if, you know, like, what if I keep boxing? And he's like, well, then you'll probably need surgery, because the tendon is it's not attached to anything. Like, if you keep hitting it or using it, there's a chance it's just that bone is gonna fragment, and then the tendon is gonna come off.
Yeah.
So I got this, because obviously I'm not gonna go have like a cast surgery. Like, I don't have like I don't have insurance. I'm not paying. So I went and got this off Amazon for $12, and it's been good enough. He said as long as it's immobilized, it's fine. And then he said you can get a brace. It'll be a lot cheaper than having it done here. And I was like, I'm doing that.
Well, at least he gave you the option. The option, you know, instead of just saying like, you got to do this.
Yeah, you know? I know. So I'm like, it's kind of shitty, because like I really want to have that final fight with Julie, which is the other girl who won her 2 brackets. But I think we're still gonna have that fight next year. And
under what promotion though?
I'll probably be under Misfits, which is the only one who's like been able to like survive.
Okay, gotcha.
Which is like all the other ones like
they
failed, lost a bunch of money, but Misfits hasn't, so probably them. And
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So. We'll be looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start watching them live now when I see it. Before we got a little bit of time before you got to go do some makeup here in a second, so I want to tie a bow on it. But real quick, I can't have you on here and not talk about your makeup and being a boxer, like, because so the first leg of the tour, I see you walking around, and it's like, oh, it's the makeup girl. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. and then like it was actually Rafa, who's in the room with us here today, told me at the end of the tour, he's all, do you know that she's like a professional boxer, wrestler kind of thing going on? I was like, oh no, I had no idea. So he showed me a couple things. We started chatting about it, and I was like. And then we looked. He thought it might be wrestling because of the makeup, but it actually turned out it was legit boxing. What made you just? I mean, was it because? I guess I'm kind of figuring it out as we're having this conversation. I imagine it was you came with your influencer image to the boxing, correct?
Yeah. So I kind of was like, I always had my own like personal style and image, and then I was like, well, if I'm going to do boxing, like, I still want to bring that image with me. Like, I'm not just going to, like, wipe it off. Like, this is who I am. Mm-hmm. And I know it was, like, you know, I see a lot of, like, the wrestlers and stuff, and they can do it in the ring. So I'm like, well, if I take the eyelashes off and I perfect a way where it's not going to drip into my eyes and, like, hurt me or make me not be able to see, then why couldn't I? Like,
right.
So I ended up like getting like temporary tattoos that like stay on the skin and they don't move, they don't get in your eyes. and they don't come off with sweat because you get really sweaty. And I like just perfected the makeup, and I just brought it into the ring with me. I was like, this is who I am. Like, I want to represent for like all alternative people as well, and be like, you can look however you want and do whatever you want. Like,
absolutely.
If I have the confidence to look this way and go get in the ring and fight people, like, you can have the confidence to wear and dress how you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only just like you said, the boxing part of it, you started out as like showing like an alternative looking person, also being kind of a gym rat. You know, like, which is two ideologies that never used to be talked about before, right?
Yeah, well, when I first started like posting on TikTok, like it wasn't really like as big of a thing. Like I think it's become more normalized now, but like I didn't really ever like see any other like people who looked like me in the fitness space. Like it's always very like tan, you know, and nice makeup and natural and wearing like, you know, like looking like pretty, and you know, and I never really like resonated with that. And so I was like, well, I'll just do it, you know. And I remember like I wanted to get fit, and it was actually years before I started posting fitness content that I was in the gym, because I was like, I don't want to like post on the internet like from having like no physical fitness about me. I want to be like, I want to do like a debut, like I want to be ready, like I want to have lifted, I want people to know that I worked out. And then so I've like awesome. Been working out for like I think like a year before I like showed off like the first like, hey, I actually go to the gym. And
that's cool.
Yeah, people really liked it and resonated with it a lot. So yeah,
I think it's good for all the ladies out there too. Have a strong woman to look up to too. I think that's awesome. Before I let you go, because we are running out of time though, I will say it is Halloween season. It is October. You're a goth girl. You gotta love this time of year, right? What are you excited about this year in October? What movies are you hoping to see, or which ones are your favorites when we're talking about horror and goth and Halloween?
Well, I am definitely most excited to have an American Halloween, because in Australia we don't really celebrate it. Like,
that's what I heard.
It's not really a thing here.
Willem just told me that wasn't a thing there, so he's excited about it too.
Yeah, so I'm like so excited to like go to Spirit Halloween. I already like bought a bunch of random shit from like TJ Maxx. I'm like, oh my god, yes! Like,
do you have your costume picked out yet?
I actually don't. I have no idea what to be.
Well, after the show tonight, we're going to be having a couple drinks over there. So come by. We'll all brainstorm together. 'Cause I don't know what I'm going to be yet either. I know what I got to be with my son, but Halloween's like my favorite holiday, and we celebrate multiple days. So I need multiple costumes, because I'm not going to wear the same costume. You know, I can't do
naturally.
That. That's silly. Silly talk.
Yeah.
So we'll powwow on that. But I mean, what are you looking forward to most of your knowledge of American Halloween?
Trick-or-treating. I'm like so ready to have like, I love shopping, so I'm like ready to like buy the cutest like Halloween candy and like decorate the front of my house and like give the little like cute little kids in their little costumes the candy.
Wait a minute here there, Barbie. The way you started that, I thought you were about to tell me you were excited to go trick-or-treating.
No.
I was like, I don't know that's gonna work.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, can you do it as an adult? I need to like borrow someone's like child.
You could borrow my son and you could go trick-or-treating.
I'm just so excited for like, because I had like a few like Halloweens in like Canada, and like I remember like the big haunted houses, and you'd like find the house that gave you the full size like candy bars, and that was the best house. And I want to be the best house that does the full size candy bars as well. Yeah, I want to be like,
you gotta do that.
Hi, welcome. Like dress up. Like I want to dress up scary. Like I dress up like as a witch or something. I don't know. And just give everyone like little candy on. They're gonna be so cute in their little costumes.
The costumes are amazing. So cute. So adorable. Well, we do a big Halloween party usually. We're not doing it this year. But I already told Willem, next time we have it, we're going to send you guys the invite, because Halloween's just amazing to me. I decorate to the nines and like throw a big old party and stuff. It's super fun. But so lastly, I asked about the movies. Are you a big horror movie buff as well, or is it just more about Halloween to you?
It's definitely just more about Halloween, like just like the
and the imagery, the goth stuff. Yeah.
I used to really like horror movies, but to be honest, I feel like they've lost their magic a little bit. Like they try too hard now.
I agree. The new ones have not been as good. Like there's a couple out there that I've been like, okay, that's pretty good.
It's more like psychological now.
And I don't want that. I want the old school monster stuff. Like give me that stuff. That's why I got it all over my arms. You know, that's the stuff that I love. You know, but I agree with you. But I have heard Terrifier's really good. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm going to check that out this year. And it's spooky season. I'm excited for it. I'm always excited for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But thank you so much. We could have gone on for a little longer, I know, but you got makeup to do. We'll have to have you guys back on. I was talk to you guys. You're only in LA. I'm in Orange County. It's an hour away. When you guys are ready, want to hang, come on down, and I'd love to have you guys over at the house.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. Everyone go check out more of Barbie everywhere on social media. Really easy to find, easier to find her than me in this show. So thanks for the chat. Thanks for everyone listening at home, and until next time, as always, cheers.